Hello and welcome to Young Enterprise Scotland's audience with our alumni. My name's Amy Glover. I'm the volunteer and alumni executive at Young Enterprise Scotland, and I am delighted to be joined by Toby Dawson, one of our company programme alumni. Hello, Toby.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Thanks so much for joining us, especially as
No
you were
worries
just
at
telling
all.
me you were invited to the beach, but instead you're sitting
Yeah,
in
it's
your
it's currently 17
house
degrees
to
in
me.
mid-March down here, yeah.
I feel like in Scotland that should be just an excuse to drop everything and go
Yeah,
and
and just
sit in
go
the
out,
sun.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really
No
looking
worries at all.
forward to hearing about your company program experience. Could you start off by telling me, well, first of all, when did you do the company program and a little bit about the company that you ran?
Yeah, so I did the program back in, probably 2018, 2019. I did the program. And our business idea was we basically in our school a lot of pupils decided to go and walk down the street into our local town to get food, to get their lunch from the food outlets there instead of getting food from the canteen. And it wasn't a massively long walk. It's about 15 minutes, but by the time you sort of walked down, got your food and walked back up, you actually didn't have much of your lunch left until classes began. So our idea was kind of the original Deliveroo, I suppose. We basically wanted to connect the food outlets down the street and the pupils in school. So our idea was to create a delivery service whereby we were going to take pupils' orders at break time, and would then go down, collect those orders from the food outlets, and then bring them back up to the pupils so they could have the food that they wanted from down the street, but they could have it in the school and could still spend their lunchtime with their friends.
I love it. It sounds like a great idea, but from
Yeah,
what you're saying to me, there were a few hurdles along the way.
yeah, absolutely. So after initially doing all of our market research and understanding that there was there was demand for this service, and then also thinking a little bit about price points, and even like we negotiated preferential prices with the food outlets down the street just to increase our personal profit margin a little bit more. We were then ready to launch, and having cleared this idea with the senior management team in our school, we were then ready to launch. And sort of in the 11th hour, sort of the day before our trial run, we were told that we weren't allowed to go ahead because our school was in a privately owned building, and they obviously leased that building to the council, and essentially they weren't happy that we were going to be selling external foods on the campus. So initially, our idea was sort of paused, and we then went through numerous meetings with senior management team in our school, and then ultimately quite senior individuals at the council as well, and sort of try and come to a workaround.
What a shame. Oh, I'm gutted for you that.
Disappointing, yeah.
Yeah, really disappointing. Probably disappointing for all the students at your school as well, because
Yeah,
it sounds
he had to keep walking down, exactly.
yeah, that would have been an enterprise that would have really benefited them. And
Yeah,
what a challenge for you and the rest of your team to be going head to head like that with some quite senior people by the sounds of things. How did
absolutely.
you find that?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time, it is quite daunting. You saw 18-year-old individuals who are, sort of still in your school uniform, speaking to,
Yeah.
the council, who's so it is initially daunting, but I think we all sort of believed in our idea. We had the backing. Our business mentor was very good and backed us, and basically, gave us the confidence that what we were doing was good, and it was a valid idea, and we basically just made our case. And try to sort of also be quite flexible with ideas as well. So, they were sort of throwing up hurdles, and we were sort of looking at ways where we might be able to come to some kind of compromise. So whilst it was daunting initially, I think the experience of having to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation is definitely one that's benefited me going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're all really passionate about your idea as well, which
Yeah,
helps.
we were. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned your business mentor there. Can you tell us a little bit about that person and how they supported you during the program?
Yeah, so our business mentor was really good. They essentially ran kind of like a digital marketing agency, and had sort of grown it from a startup themselves, and then sort of growing it to a multi-million pound business, which for me was really impressive at the time. So our business mentor was definitely someone that I looked up to, and as such, was really interested and eager to hear their advice, because it was someone that I aspired to be going forward, and they definitely possess a lot of the characteristics that I think make a good business person. So I was very happy to have them assigned to our business, and just the opportunity to work with someone who's sort of been around the block a bit more. You can you can learn about how they go about their business, and so yeah, I really enjoyed working with him.
That's
And
really
like I said, he was
valuable,
incredibly
yeah.
supportive of us as well, and empowered us when we were having our struggles.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So it sounds like a really great person to be involved. So did you manage to make it to the end of the program, even with these setbacks?
So we made it to the end of the program, in the sense that we went through all of the steps that you have to go through. It just so happened that at the end of it, our profit loss account was 0, because we didn't actually start trading.
Yeah.
But we still went through all of the really important stages. Like I said, we did all of our market research. We created a business plan, created a business model, thought about like potential challenges. Whilst we did foresee this challenge happening, which is why we initially spoke to senior management. So we went through all of the steps that are integral to the program. It just so happened, unfortunately, we weren't quite able to get to the point of trading. But despite that, it was still an incredibly valuable experience. And actually, I think the interactions that we had, with, say, the council, that a lot of people wouldn't, a lot of other groups didn't get to have, they could even have been, as valuable, if not more valuable, than had our business just been plain sailing.
Interesting point. Yeah. Do you think overall you learned more and had a more valuable experience because of the setbacks?
I wouldn't necessarily say a more valuable experience, because we didn't get the sort of managing money side of things.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I would say it was as valuable because it was, we had far more in the way of problem solving, having to adapt to our idea. Like I said, having to go into meetings with some quite important people. All of those experiences definitely would have benefited us in a way that other groups might not have. But obviously, I wouldn't say it was more valuable though, because it obviously would have been lovely to get the actual trading side of things as well. But that, like I say, that definitely didn't diminish from the value of the program to me personally.
No, sure, that's brilliant. And I'm sure young people, if they're watching this, who've had similar struggles, will be really pleased to hear that.
Absolutely, yeah, it's all worthwhile, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, Toby? What came after company program for you?
Yeah, so after the program, which I did in my final year of school, I left, and I'm now studying PPE, which is politics, philosophy, and economics, down at the University of Exeter. So I basically, went right to the other end of the country, from being up in Scotland. So I'm currently in my third year doing that, which in England is your final year. The courses are only 3 years long. So yeah, final year doing that, set sort of graduate in July. And then I also last summer had a banking internship with Barclays, which I've been lucky enough to convert to a grad job. So I'm going to be sort of going to the city in August.
So you're all set for when you graduate. You know what's coming next.
Yeah, which has been really, really, really nice for me, because I've had that security, and I've just been able to focus on my uni work.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm delighted for you. So when you were backed in the company program, what role did you have within the team?
Yeah, so I was we sort of assigned a leader, and I was assigned the leader of our group. So my role was kind of coordinating, the members of our group, delegating the task to people who felt most comfortable, or I felt their skills might be most suited to that task. And then I was kind of the key liaison manager between our group and what we were doing on a day-to-day basis, and our business mentor, who we saw once a week or once fortnightly. So just keeping him updated on a more regular basis than we were meeting him in person. And then obviously, making sure that everyone was getting along, was working well together, and that everyone was kind of in the right roles to get the most out of their skill sets.
Yeah, challenge, isn't it? Especially when you're that young, figuring out what's going to suit
Absolutely, yeah.
you. Yeah, and do you feel that your team did that? Did you all settle into your roles? Were there any sort of clashes of personalities or heated discussions?
I think, yeah, no, I think our team did all work very well together. And like you say, it is hard to when you're that young to put people into roles, especially because these are your friends you're sort of at school with. So sometimes making decisions that are, some people aren't necessarily over the moon about is quite hard. But you kind of have to separate that from when you then leave the business environment. But overall, our group did get on very well together. Most of our heated discussions, actually, like I said, came with people sort of higher up the food chain, with sort of senior management at our school, and then at the council. That's where most of the contentious points arose. As a group, we were actually kind of united behind our idea, and worked quite well together, I thought.
Fantastic, yeah. So you obviously will have learned so much during the program. What skills do you think you learnt back then that you're putting to good use now?
I think three main things for me. First of all, it allowed me to develop my leadership technique and learn a bit more about me as a leader and how best to manage people, and how it develops my style of leadership and how I like to sort of lead. So that going forward at university projects, and then even doing sort of a task within teams in my internship, that definitely benefited me. Having already been in that situation, I was a bit more comfortable. Then a bit of adaptability, like I said, we faced a lot of hurdles, so we had to adapt to idea and be quite fluid with what we wanted to do. So sort of the problem solving side of things, and the realization that nothing, some things don't always, go perfectly to plan, and go exactly how you had them in your mind's eye. So, being a bit sort of resilient to those kind of challenges. And then finally, just, being a bit more comfortable in sort of in meetings or speaking to people that are, like you say, potentially quite intimidating or daunting people at the time. Being in those uncomfortable situations, you then become a bit more comfortable being uncomfortable, which then means you have a bit more clarity of thought, and you can get across what you need to say slightly better in those situations.
Yeah, so true. And you don't learn that until you're actually stuck in that
situation.
Yeah,
exactly. You have to do it the hard way.
Yeah, sure. We've got a brilliant question here from Lara. Do you think the experience and things not going to exactly to plan would prepare you for starting a company and the realities of that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we hear all the time that we hear about the successful companies, but people don't necessarily understand the number of hurdles and challenges that they've had to overcome to then get to that point. So definitely, it awoke me to the fact that business is not quite as easy, and it's not quite as picturesque as you initially sort of you might think it to be. And there is a lot of hard work and a lot of adaptability and challenges that you have to overcome along the way. So it definitely was a reality check on that front. But then going forward, I'm now alert to that. So when it comes, it won't be so much of a surprise, and you can kind of plan for that. And as long as you can adapt and deal with those challenges, then I think it's all part of the process. It's not something that should necessarily turn people away or put people off.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another question here. How has your experience of company program helped you to get where you are now or plan for your future?
That's a really good question, actually. So I think in terms of how it's helped me to get to where I am now, I think a lot of it comes from sort of being comfortable in those uncomfortable situations. It has given me confidence in sort of say in interview processes where I'm sure everyone finds them slightly stressful. That they're not necessarily the most pleasant things in the world, but if you can be slightly more comfortable and a bit more relaxed in those environments, then you're able to perform better. And then also during my internship, I think I felt confident reaching out and speaking to people who were far more senior than I might ordinarily have spoken to, just because I'd had that experience of interacting with sort of similar people from quite a young age, or from when I was at school, which has definitely given me the confidence. And in terms of planning for the future, well, I think Deliveroo and Uber Eats have already snapped up my idea on that front. So I don't think there's necessarily a gap in the market there anymore. But it's definitely shown me that I do enjoy business, and it's given me confidence that if I wanted to start something of my own in the future, that is something I would enjoy. And I feel I have now got some of the skills there to equip me to do that. So yeah, I suppose that's how.
Brilliant. We're coming to the end of our time, but I've got one more question for you. So we're young people up and down Scotland are knee deep in their regional finals at the moment. So if you could give those young people one little nugget of advice, one takeaway from your experience that you'd want them all to cling on to as they go forward into the next stage of their lives, what would it be?
Into the finals. I think just take all of the opportunities you can to put yourself in. I feel I've slightly harped on about it, but just take chances to put yourself in situations where you don't necessarily feel uncomfortable, because where you do feel slightly uncomfortable, because I feel like those are the situations and the times when you actually grow the most and learn the most from yourself, and you're never going to sort of stretch and expand your capabilities if you always stay in your comfort zone. So, I'm sure, whilst I didn't get to do it myself, standing up and presenting in your regional and then potentially national finals is quite a daunting thing. So, take the positives from that. It's a massive skill to be able to present under pressure. And if you can do that, and you've got a brilliant opportunity to practice that, then stuff like that will stand you in good stead going forward. So yeah, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Brilliant piece of advice. Yeah. And you know what? If you had been allowed to go forward with your idea, I feel really confident you'd have made it all the way through those finals, for sure.
Maybe.
Toby, this has been brilliant. You've been a super guest. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And thanks to everyone who's watched. Join us next time for another Audience with Our Alumni. Bye-bye.
Bye.